Hello everyone, this is Aether Dragon and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So unfortunately I forgot that should have recorded myself doing some Aether Raid matches on offense, but basically as a summary, I lost 4 units in total on the first day because I didn't really know what I was doing. So I lost 80 lift from that, and I completely lost the match because I goofed. So the theoretical highest score is 3700, but because of a matchmaker exploit, nope, you can actually get higher than that, but they did patch that exploit, so it shouldn't be possible to do it anymore. But yeah, I haven't done well on defense. I've won 1 match so far, but like most of the people I was facing knew what they were doing, so I'm not too mad because my team, like if you look at my setup, it's not really that good. It's pretty budget if anything because I don't have much. But anyways, today is not about Aether Raids. Well, it kind of is because we're doing tap battles with Aether Raids commentary but in the background, so just gonna be tackling 96 to 100 on hard expert. Pretty standard stuff as I usually do. So without further ado, here we go. So let's think about Aether Raids. It's definitely something different, which is a good change because obviously Intelligent Systems hasn't done much to add new game content, or at least, you know, not reuse the old stuff. In a sense, they kinda reuse content, but I won't talk about that in this video. Might talk about it in the extra stages video, but as so far, besides some imbalances, it's not too bad of a game mode. There's some imbalances I don't like about it, but I mean, what can you do, right? It's not going to be perfect, especially coming out the first season, so hopefully they make some good changes to the game mode as it goes on. But like the idea of just like building your own little keep, I guess this is the town building game mode they were talking about in the survey from way long back. But it's like, it's pretty decent implementation. Like the ability to customize your keep is pretty cool. Of course, there's still limited structures, but that's one thing they can keep adding. I hope they don't really imbalance things with new structures and such, but it's not bad for a start, again, as I've been saying. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about base mechanics, I guess. So you're fighting, your goal is to defeat all the enemy units, and right now it's 4v4 basically, so it's pretty fair right now. But one of the end game things is once you get to certain tiers, you're able to get a certain amount of you can bring an extra unit. Goodness, this is what happens when you do stuff while you're brain dead. But so you can bring on defense, once you get to tier 11, on offense and defense you can bring an extra unit as long as you stay above that tier. But at tier 19 on defense, you can add yet another unit. So at the ultimate late game, it's a 5v6, which of course is, I'm pretty sure it's trying to balance the fact that it's player control versus AI. But so it's not a terrible concept, but if you've been playing Aether Raids and seen some things, you would know that once we get to that point, it's going to be absolutely disgusting defenses. Like, right now, you can cheese because another one of the mechanics I guess I'll go into is comparing fortress levels. So there's this structure that you must include on offense and defense called the fortress, and at the start of the match, whichever side has a higher level fortress gets +4 to all your unit stats for each level above. So like if you have a level 3 fortress on offense and you face someone with a level 2 fortress on defense, then you get on offense +4 to all stats, not HP though. I'm trying to try hard tap battles here. It's definitely getting harder to do this while brain dead, but it's a decent balance. The one thing I don't entirely like though is the amount of stuff we get every season in terms of rewards, because progression is slow, which I do find okay. It's just that the way they scaled the progression is not how I'm liking it, because of course the main purpose of the game was actually to get heroic grails for your copies of Grand Hero Battle units, which is, it's about time they did it, but it's a pretty good implementation. But I'm kind of just rambling about whatever at this point. So it's so yeah, that kind of 4v4 and then turning to a 5v6 late game, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Right now, stuff like quad healers and super offensive teams on defense is pretty strong, because on offense, not only if you want to get the optimal scoring, you have to get optimal scoring, you have to destroy all the enemy units. But before you do that, and not lose any of your units, of course, but if you have to also destroy the opponent's ether structures, which is definitely an interesting addition. It definitely makes it a lot harder on offense. It's not completely necessary, but if you want to have the edge over people, you have to do that. So it's incredibly difficult on offense to late game, I'm thinking. And also the thing with offense is that you have to keep your fortress level above the defense's fortress level to get bonus stats to have some sort of advantage. Because if your fort level is lower and the enemy has more units and bonus stats, it's an uphill battle for sure. But the balancing on that, we'll see what happens later. Defense is getting a lot more structures incoming, I can imagine, so it's gonna get really difficult. And it's at that point it's going to favor the people who have the built units like whales, basically. Which is, I don't know what to think about that. They did expand the reward tiers though, so top 3k gets the highest rewards now instead of top 1k. Which I do like, because of course you can keep it at top 1k, but then it really does still end up stemming a pay to win kind of thing, because you can't use your friends' units on offense, and so you end up with the situation where if you just don't have built units, even though everyone technically starts on even playing field, you just get the advantage inherently if you have units built. So I don't know what to think of that. I guess talking about defense now, I don't exactly like the way they implemented defense, because there's a mechanic where if you lose a match, you'll lose lift. Now that's okay, because that encourages people technically to build up their defense somewhat, because if you can get any kills, that mitigates the amount of lift you lose. So it's still a decent like touch to it, but the problem is the matchmaker. So there's also like a 20-hour like protection for once you lose a match, you can't lose any more lift for 20 hours, which is also a nice addition. But the problem is the matchmaker. Like yesterday, I got 0 defense matches, which of course is probably in this instance pretty good. S-ranked this pretty quickly, which is why I did casual on camera. On video. So it's the matchmaker. So the first day I should probably scroll less quickly so people don't like say you didn't have adequate proof that you S-ranked at all, Kappa. I don't know why you would care about that on normal difficulty, but I mean whatever. So yeah, I guess the rest of this video is going to be a super long rant about Aether Raids, and now I can have visual references. So as you can, the first day I had 3, 4, 5. I had like 3 matches the first day. Actually, I had 5 matches the first 5 or 6, a ridiculous amount first day because of course everyone was starting out. Then the next few days was like 1 or 2 matches, or maybe 3 matches, 1 match. And then yesterday, I got 0. Which in the scheme of if your defense map isn't good, because you don't gain lift for winning defense matches, the pro of winning is you don't lose lift. So the problem with that is if people just don't get matched up with people on defense, then literally they get completely protected from losing lift in that sense. Whereas someone who gets bombarded with defense matches, even if their team defense setup is insanely good and basically has no flaws except maybe really small flaws, the problem is eventually someone's going to beat them, their team, and they're going to lose lift. And you can't really do anything about that. So there's an imbalance and kind of random aspect. It's not entirely random, but it's still kind of random how people are matched up. So kind of don't like that. There's another mechanic I don't like where once you're above tier 11, which is also when you get your access to purchase a 5th slot on offense and defense. I think it's separate. I think you have to purchase the slots separately. Let me check. I don't know if that's the case, but we'll see when we get there. It'll happen next season. But if you're at tier 11 or above, at the end of the season, whatever lift you had, you get reset the next season to the lowest amount of lift in that tier. So like say I'm in tier 14 or let's make it like tier 18 or something, because this is the max score I got, but you can get a higher score. But anyways, say I'm at tier 17. Let's say I have 7,180 lift at the end of the season, and I'm in tier 17. At the start of the next season, I will start with 6,500 lift. Which is ridiculously dumb if you think about it, because someone who barely makes tier 17 with 6,500 lift at the end of the season will start with the same lift as someone who had 7,180 lift. And in the grand scheme of things, that's considering we can only get 100 lift max per match. That person who got to 6,500 lift was essentially 7 matches behind. And right now, it takes me 45 ether to do 1 match, and it's going to keep going up. So that means at that scale, people are going to be behind hundreds of ether, for their matches. And it's like, at that point, when you reset to the next season, the person that had that much ether of an ether advantage over the person that just made the tier, it's just completely gone. It's just like, what's the point? And of course, the higher the tiers, the more I can't say the word. The worse it gets, because like the difference between tier 1 is kind of whatever. You go up to like tier 20 and the difference is up to like basically 15, 16 matches, which is ridiculous. And the Aether cost formula, if I can find it here really quickly, it's ridiculous. I don't think they're planning to rescale it. It's based on the amount of lift you have. So it's going to be 9 plus the current lift divided by 100. Round it up. So if you're at like say 10,000 lift, it's going to cost you like 109 Aether per match. So just round it down to like 100. So that 15 matches is like 1500 Aether, and right now we have no way to upgrade our fountain to increase our daily Aether regeneration. We only get 50 a day, so you can imagine the grand scheme of things why that's so imbalanced. I just don't like it. I do appreciate it though, because what that mechanic does is the people in tier 21 can't just go to infinity and stay in tier 21 and, you know, just sit there forever, technically speaking. It's like, if you get to like 30,000 lift, for example, at the start of the next season, you're going to be at 11,000. So, in that sense, people can't just infinitely stay in tier 21 in that respect, which I'm okay with. As for rank, it's kind of whatever. It doesn't really... It also helps with rank because I'm pretty sure they're going to keep it at cumulative lift, so obviously this is intended to make top 3,000 feasible for people, so people can't just stay up forever going higher and higher lift in tier 21 and never stopping. So I can understand that, but applying it from tier 11 all the way up to tier 21 is a little too ridiculous in my opinion. Maybe a smaller range of tiers, like maybe the top 3 tiers do that, and then everyone else can just keep their lift and keep going like that. Maybe, I don't know. I can understand the reasoning behind it, but it's like, I don't really like the way how large it's expanded. What else to talk about? The bonus unit stuff is, I guess, cool. You just have to have the bonus unit in your team to get the extra 20 points, or 20 lift per match, which is cool, I guess. And you also get to preview the next season's bonus units. And there's also bonus structures that grant your fortress an extra level. So fortress level is pretty important for late game, especially. But like, if you look at, for example, fortress, the offensive fortress, costs 1,000. 1,000. You're looking at that right, 1,000 due, or whatever it's called, to upgrade to level 3. Whereas, of course, for the defensive fortress, since you're only going up to level 2, it's half that. But if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, if you limit the opponent's offensive bonus stats from their fortress by even just 1 level, you take a lot less resources to deny that, whereas someone going on offense has to invest a crud ton into trying to get that level advantage on the defensive fortress. So I don't know. The catapult seems kind of broken in a sense because late game, of course, just being able to destroy structures is pretty nice. The balancing of this stuff, I don't exactly like this healing tower. It seems kind of broken late game because you could just have everyone turtle in a corner and just keep healing because it works at the start of every turn. So, and it's upgradable, so I mean, I don't know. There's the Panic Manor is cool because there's a lot of field buff usage, which is why Aversa has been terrorizing since she's a bonus unit. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Bonus unit stats are like Arena and Tempest Trials, and they apply to both offense and defense, which is a nice change compared to like Arena. But yeah, the catapult seems like it'll be pretty decent. The schools, I don't really know. I don't really see much worth in them right now. I suppose late game when the fortress level battles get tougher and tougher, that the debuffs here will matter. But I mean, fortress, of course, as I said, is important. Bolt tower, I don't know. I kind of don't feel like this is a good option because Vantage might. I've been using Vantage on offense, and I gotta say, it's pretty broken. Like, a lot of people I've been facing have a lot of squishy units that are really strong, so like glass cannons, basically. And, you know, with the stat bonuses and Blade Tome max buffs with close counter advantage, she just one-shots everything. Well, not everything, because you don't want to do that right away, but she has the potential to do that, and it's pretty ridiculous. Tactics room seems really strong as well, because ranged is super useful. Ranged units are super useful in offense and defense. And of course, there's the copies for the defensive versions. And then the traps. Heavy trap seems like it might be pretty good later on if the HP threshold gets high enough. Bolt traps, pretty darn good as well. I can use it to like set up Vantage on Nino, which is nice. I upgraded mine to level 2, so I can get more people into Wings of Mercy range. Definitely not evil at all, but I mean, no one's going to fall for that, right? No one's fought my team with this setup yet, so I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get steamrolled, but this isn't a good setup. It has a lot of weaknesses, but it's a decent setup, I guess, for budget. But yeah, anyways, the rant's getting kind of long. It's not a bad game mode at all. There's definitely a lot of things I can do to expand on it. There's replays. Did I mention there's replays? Even though half the time before they patch some bugs, some of the replays weren't working. A lot of them actually weren't because of summoner support and ally support shenanigans. But now it's like, now they have replays. It's really cool. You can see how people play against your teams or your defense team, and it's just cool being able to see that. I wish you could like save offensive replays as well, like see your own battles going on offense. That would be pretty cool. Considering they've already made it for defense, I wouldn't see why they couldn't do it for offense. But of course, that's up to them. That'd be cool, so you can like reference really cool matches where maybe people had a super strong defensive setup, or maybe you had a super clutch offense victory or something. That'd be cool. Anyways, top players, it's actually not that many people at this point have quote unquote perfect scores. There are like one or two people who use the exploit to get a higher, more lift earlier on. We'll see how they fare at the very end, but yeah, 3700 is I believe the max you can get. There's also a friends list, and yeah, one of my friends is up at rank 1, which is cool. But yeah, being able to see your friends as well, see how they're doing, is pretty cool. I definitely want the opportunity to be able to like just do friendly battles just for fun, fight against other people's defense teams, you know, help test it out and stuff. Because did I also mention you can test out your own defenses, but there's some things like the fortress levels are the same, which I don't particularly like. Wish you could be able to simulate it more like a real match where the fortress levels are different. But I mean, it's still pretty good for testing. Like, even if you don't really care about building defenses, it's just good for testing out AI mechanics and things. It's a really convenient feature. You don't have to spend stamina or anything. You can just set up something and test stuff out really quick. So it's the game mode again. I do bash on it a lot outside of this video about it being a bad game mode. There is a lot of imbalances to the game mode, but most of them at this point you can't really fix. So it's not a bad game mode. I kind of don't like that it's weekly, but I mean, that's how they encourage people to play the game a lot more. So I don't know, it's decent. As for like the rank rewards, I can't speak. It's not bad. I mean, most people are probably out for the heroic grails, and as you can see, even if you get max rewards for the week, it's only 70, and I believe if you want like 9 copies of a unit, like a Grand Hero Battle unit or a Tempest Trial unit, you need like 2,800. So it's gonna take ages at this rate to get a unit to +10, but I imagine they'll probably add ways to get more heroic grails later. We'll see though. I think I should be secure for top 3k because I didn't goof any runs after day 1 in that completely lost match that I should have won, but oh well. I guess to show you I'll show you one replay. I guess I'll show this one. The ones where I lose is just a complete steamroll, so it's just like, I don't know why I should bother. But here we have a Versa trolling with a Versus Knight, but this is pretty similar to my old setup, except now, or my current setup, except I just moved this flyer school down because I thought this bait would be a trap, but it actually isn't a trap because no future vision or things happen if people know what they're doing. But anyways, let's see how this team fares. I don't know why this person thought that was a smart idea, but I mean it worked out for them, I guess. But obviously future vision is kind of strong. But Legendary Lucina couldn't beat Azura, so that was the end of me, but it wasn't too bad. That's kind of how I go about with things. Like, if you look at this replay, for example, this was me trying another derpy setup. I was just putting Lucina in the corner to stall / use Wings of Mercy. So someone thought Myrrh would tank stuff, but no, it's Blade Nino, man. Got jebaited by the trap, but then Lucina can finish off Yorm, and I got jebaited again. It's pretty much the same thing every time, Lucina not being able to finish off the match, because Bride Ninian is can't really do much, minus speed too. But I think that's gonna be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Aether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye.